Up thinking that I would be able to bounce back and do some strides today, but I spiked up and made it about 10 meters and kind of pulled up. I've just got this lightning rod of pain going up through my leg, and the MRI told me that it's a pretty messed up ankle, so I'd rather not risk serious injury. The doctor said if I fractured it further, I could be, getting surgery next week. So if I was 24, I might roll the dice, but I'm 32 and I'm ecstatic with what I've accomplished. I think we're going to send probably the best team to Rio that we've ever sent in the men's 800. A really young and passionate team, and I'm excited to watch them. I've actually never been a spectator at an Olympic trials, so this will be fun for me to watch.
How frustrating is it to have this happen?
That's a great word. It's frustrating. It's disappointing. I'm not sad. I realized that at 32 I was almost on borrowed time, and I'm just absolutely grateful for my health that I've had over the last decade. That I've made 10 teams. That I made 2 Olympic teams. I'd have loved to have been in Rio, but that wasn't in the cards for me. And so now I can be a great teammate and cheer my teammates on. Working hard for Run Gum. We're activating here. We're handing out thousands of dollars worth of Run Gum, and like I said, I get to be a spectator and watch some really incredible races.
What does this mean for the tattoo and T-Mobile?
That's the hardest thing. Like the sponsors are great, and Brooks and T-Mobile, Run Gum, Hanson Dodge Creative, Zappos. I mean, I worked hard to put this great portfolio of sponsors together, and I really believed that I'd be on that team, and the workouts were indicating that. 4 weeks ago, I called my coach Sam, and said, "You better get an Airbnb in Rio because we're going." And that I'm not a bullshitter. In 2012, I said, "There's no reason I won't be on this team, but my training has gone perfectly." And up to about 4 weeks ago, I would have said the exact same thing. But at 32, I can't run the same type of workouts that I did when I was 24. And stepping on the track and trying to rip 200s and 23 is something that my legs need, but something that they can't quite handle anymore. That's okay.
So for the sponsors, I guess, how did you break the news to them?
I called each one individually and let them know, and they're all very supportive. I mean, this is pro sports. If you're going to sponsor athletes, you're going to understand that this has happened sometimes, and it's disappointing. But it's like walking into a casino and putting money down on red. Sometimes it's going to come up black, and that's just the way it is.
Tell me about the black tape thing. I mean, are you still leading that?
Well, the absurdity of all this is that this event and the Olympic Games and any Olympic Team USA event is governed by the Ted Stevens Amateur Sports Act. So we call ourselves a professional sport, but we're not a professional sport when we're governed by an Amateur Sports Act. And that act dictates that USATF and USOC basically get to say whatever they want to do. Whatever rules they want to enforce, they can do that here in order to fund their mission. And part of that is forcing athletes to tape over any form of advertising on their body that's non-compliant with their rules. And I was going to go out there with tattoos on my forearms and my shoulders, and I was going to have to tape over those with black tape. And so I said, hey, if I got to tape over my tattoos with black tape, then I would ask everybody else to put a bit of black tape to make a point of how ridiculous this is. We've got 50% of professional track and field athletes in America living below the poverty line, and that's unacceptable. And we could lift them all out of poverty with one rule change. But the powers that be would rather see every single dollar filter through their greedy hands first and let our most talented athletes live below the poverty line and struggle to pay their bills and be forced to work part-time jobs rather than train full-time. That's not how we create the best track and field team in the world. It's unacceptable, and I've been fighting hard for the last 5 years to change that. I've invested tens of thousands of dollars, to bring litigation against these organizations, and we're just going to have to figure a way around this and figure a way to bring track and field into the modern era, shake off our amateur past and make it a full-fledged professional sport. Until then, we're all going to be sitting around trying to take scraps that the governing bodies toss us.
How do you do that from the sidelines? Can you continue that activism?
That's the hardest part for me, is that I think I could have been a really effective leader out there in kind of uniting the athletes and bringing about some change, and certainly bringing about some awareness about what's going on. It's a lot harder for me to do that on the sidelines.
Will the black tape campaign go on without you?
It's up to the athletes. I can't do this by myself. I can, be as annoying as possible on social media and do interviews all day long, but until the athletes come together and decide that enough's enough, nothing's ever going to change.
You said one rule could bring people out of charity, out of poverty.
Yeah.
I can think about 3 rules that you could change. So which
Yeah, there's a lot of rules.
Which rule are you talking about?
The one that dictates that athletes can't market themselves to any non-apparel manufacturer. So as it stands, the only logos that can be on display this weekend at the Olympic trials or this week is that of your apparel manufacturer. In my case, it's Brooks. You'll see Nike, you'll see Brooks, you'll see Reebok, you'll see Hoka.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. But Run Gum, my company, we have thousands of dollars that we would love nothing more than to give to athletes here competing. But we're not going to do it without some form of return on our investment. We have to have our logo somewhere. So we're sitting here with a pile of cash that we just want to give to athletes, but you've got to allow us to put our logo somewhere. And we're not asking for a giant billboard, Beast logo. We're asking for the same rights that the shoe companies have. And it's hurting athletes that there are thousands of companies out there with billions of dollars in funds available to be invested, and they're hamstrung. They're not able to invest that money. As a CEO of a company that could potentially invest thousands, if not millions of dollars over the next 20 or 30 years, I'm telling you right now, I have absolutely no interest in investing money in track and field until these rules change, because it's disadvantageous for me to do so. It would be incredibly more, I get a much better ROI investing in marathons or Ragnars or any host of other running events, because track and field is making it an economic climate that's extremely disadvantageous for us to do so.
Do you have any other athletes who